Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video, we are going to be back over on the Longer Ray5 20w laser engraver, making a nice springtime Easter bunny design. I've already got the design loaded up onto the Lightburn software, and that is that white screen you see behind me loaded up on the laptop. Some lasers can be ran with a phone or a tablet. I prefer to run my laser in conjunction with the laptop because I just feel personally that I have more control over the software and everything with the keyboard, a mouse, and everything like that, like a computer. Your opinions may differ when it comes to running your laser, but we are officially in spring 2025, my friends, and Easter is right around the corner, and I'm happy that the days are now warmer, milder, and longer because I can start using the laser a lot more out in the workshop because the winter months are not good for laser engravers if you do not have a climate controlled area. Of course, I've told you guys in the past, the workshop is neither insulated, heated, nor cooled, so I have to use the wood stove during the winter months, and I don't use it all the time. I just use it only when it is necessary. I do have my little space heaters back there at the scroll saw where I am primarily at, but the colder weather and colder temperatures are not good on a diode laser's stepper motors and belts. The motors can get gummed up and everything, and also the belts can get dry, brittle, and the teeth can crack in them, you know, that kind of drive the laser to and fro as it's doing its programmed job over on the software and everything. But now that the days are warmer and milder, I can of course start using the laser engraver more, and I'm very happy to do that and bring projects over here to the platform for you guys to hopefully view and enjoy, and maybe inspire you guys to try one of the projects that I bring to life over here on the platform if you have a laser out in your garage or workshop. As I said, the file is already loaded up on the Lightburn software, and it's going to be a springtime Easter bunny. Easter is right around the corner, my friends, and I picked up this file off of the Etsy website. The file was around $4 or $5. That is US currency. There was a couple different options for the Easter bunny design. There is one where he is in a side profile, and then the one that I really liked is a front-facing silhouette profile of the classic Easter bunny, and it's going to be a layered design. You guys know I love layered designs, like over on the scroll saw and over on the laser, because they just add a nice sense of depth and 3D dimension to an individual project. And what I really liked about this design was each layer had flowers and floral decor in it, you know, like vines, flowers, and everything representing the springtime. And then one of the layers had the classic Happy Easter name on it. Now, of course, if you did not want to use the Happy Easter name, you could, of course, take that file out of the software, you know, and just do the springtime bunny with all of the floral decor to set around with some springtime flowers and everything. That's one thing I really love about laser engravers. They also offer options and versatility, just like a scroll saw that I'm primarily known for using out here in the workshop. But I've already got my material selected. We're going to be using some 1/4" material. More commonly, the project should be made out of the thinner 3mm craft plywood that's more commonly associated with laser engravers. I just like using the 1/4" material because it's readily available in my area. I've cut it down to the proper dimensions. This is about the maximum size I can use on the honeycomb spool board in my laser bed. Of course, there is bigger and bigger lasers becoming more available on the market, and they are becoming more affordable for people who only have a little time out in their garage or workshops each weekend. But this is the size of the laser bed, and because of the file and the multiple layers, I'm going to have to cut everything out in 2 passes. I think I can get 3 of the layers out of one, and then I have to cut the other 2 out of this one. Keep in mind, I did modify the file a little bit just to suit my needs and how I wanted to bring it to life over here on the platform. Before loading it into the laser bed, we will of course pre-sand everything, you know, to get it nice and smooth. That way we do not have to do any kind of tedious sanding after everything is laser cut. And anytime I'm using the laser engraver, I always wear my safety UV glasses to protect my eyesight. Even though the enclosure that I have does have a safety protective window where you can peer in, I still like to protect my eyes and use the safety UV goggles. And even though the laser is in an enclosure, I still like to use my air filtration unit. And since everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, let's get the material sanded so we can get it loaded into the laser bed and get started. And before we get started, we will pre-sand the front and back side of both pieces of our 1/4" material with 180 grit Klingspor woodworking shop sandpaper and the vibrating palm sander. And before we step over to the laser, I wanted to show you guys the file we are using that I picked up from Etsy. And this is all of the layers loaded in here, but I'm only going to cut out 5 of the individual layers. And because of the size of the bunny, I'm going to have to go in 2 separate passes. The first pass we will do will have the most detail in it, and we'll cut out 3 of the layers. And then we will come back on the second pass and we will cut out the backer board and the top layer that makes up the frame of the project. But we are now ready to load our 1/4" material into the bed of the Longer Ray5 20W Diode Laser Engraver, and I'll use a few magnets to lock the material in place. And then I will frame the project out a couple times to make sure that I'm maximizing the material. And I'll turn on the GoPro, zip up the enclosure, and hit start on the laptop. And you guys know that this is my general view of the laser while it is running. My enclosure has this orange translucent window that allows me to safely peer in and keep an eye on the laser while it is running and doing its various jobs. But this is also why I like to add the GoPro in the enclosure for the laser videos, to give you guys hopefully the best view possible of the project being made. You can see that the enclosure itself is doing a fantastic job of keeping all of the smoke and the fumes captured within it, and then piping them with the vent out of the back of the workshop, keeping the air quality in the workshop itself as clean as possible. And obviously this footage is sped up, but the 20W laser does a phenomenal job of laser cutting precisely and cleanly through this 1/4" material that I like to use with it. And for reference, the settings I used in the Lightburn software for the laser was speed 300, power 90%, 1 pass with air assist on. And we are almost done with those first 3 layers here. Again, these have the most detail in them. And when the laser comes back around and it goes back to the home position and starts idling, I will still leave it for around 5 minutes just to make sure that all of the smoke and fumes have been extracted before I get ready to unzip the laser and remove the pieces we have just made. I'll turn the GoPro off and get a photo of what we have just made on my cell phone, remove the magnets, and get our material out. Again, the laser cut cleanly through the 1/4" material, and now I have to clean up the laser bed to get ready to add the second piece of 1/4" material into it. And now this will just be a rinse and repeat process with how we done at the beginning of the video. I will lock the material in place with some magnets, and I'll frame it out a couple times to make sure I'm maximizing my material, and then we will hit start and begin again. And we are once again back to the view I traditionally have while the laser is running, but we will once again go back inside the enclosure by use of the GoPro. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And once again, once the laser gets done with the layers here, it will go back to the home position, and I will again leave it idling for around 5 minutes just to make sure that all of the smoke and fumes have been properly extracted out of the enclosure. But then it will be time to unzip it, and we can collect the 2 pieces we have just made here. And with these 2 pieces, all 5 of the layers have been completely cut out. And it did not take long at all for the laser to do this job. But over here on the Raycon table saw, you guys can see the 5 layers that we have just made. And individually, they could probably be used for their own standalone projects, but we will combine them as they are intended. But first we will add a splash of color with 2 different tones of Minwax wood stain. We are doing the lighter tone or shade here that still allows the natural grains and textures of the material to shine through, and then we will do 3 layers with the darker shade that really makes everything pop and gives it a nice two-toned appearance. But I will wipe off all of the excess from all of the pieces, and once they are dry to the touch, it'll be time for assembly with medium grade CA glue and activator. And CA glue basically dries and bonds instantly, so I am having to work quick here, but I am being as careful as possible to where I do not break any of the pieces we have made. And once it is completely glued, I will leave it for around 5 minutes to make sure that the glue has grabbed and properly bonded. But once I am sure the glue is completely cured, we will give the project a finish with several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And it really makes the grain pop and give it a nice glossy appearance. And here we have the completed layered springtime Easter bunny design with flowers, laser cut completely from start to finish over on the Longer Ray5 20w diode laser engraver. And I think it finished up beautifully with some nice and crisp details in it. You guys seen through the time-lapse portion of the video that the laser was cutting cleanly and precisely through the 1/4" material we used. From start to finish, it took around 40 minutes for the laser to cut everything out. Keep in mind, because of the size of my laser bed, I had to go in 2 separate passes. We cut out 3 of the layers for the Easter bunny in 1 pass, and then we went with another piece of material and cut out the final 2 layers, the top layer and the backer board, in the 2nd pass. Of course, the time may vary with you guys depending on if you have a higher powered laser or a lower powered laser, or if you have a different size laser bed, so please be aware of that. But I'm really happy with how everything came out here. You can easily tell and depict what this project is. You have the classic iconic silhouette of an Easter bunny. We are fast approaching Easter 2025, so of course he is an Easter bunny to me, or the springtime bunny if you want to call him that. But then as you get closer, you can see all of the individual layers that make it have like a shadow box appearance, and each layer has a little more detail in it. The back layer has all of those nice springtime vines and everything. Then the next layer has more flowers and things like that, and then the next to the last layer has the quote "Happy Easter," and then you have a top border that goes on top of everything, comprising of 5 layers of 1/4" material. Keep in mind, a lot of the layered designs that I like to do like this were meant to be made out of the thinner 3mm craft plywood. I think it's called basswood. That is just more expensive than the materials I like to pick up to bring projects to life visually with over here on the platform. Of course, I have used it from time to time to make projects like we did last Christmas, so I just opted to bulk the project up, so to speak, and make it out of 1/4" material. And because that is 5 layers of 1/4" material, of course it can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. Now if you wanted to add some traditional woodworking in this project, you could of course make a nice little decorative base for it to maybe put some Easter eggs or little flowers around it. So options and versatility for each and every project you make out in your garage or workshop. And speaking of options, there was a couple different designs for the Easter bunny and the spring bunny design. There was this one here, and then there was another one with the bunny facing in profile. You know, it just had one long ear showing like you were looking at him from the side. And then both of them had options to have Happy Easter in it or off of it. And because, again, as we are fast approaching Easter 2025, I opted to make him indeed an Easter bunny. But if you wanted to take out the words Happy Easter, he could of course be made to set with some springtime flowers or with a bouquet or just some springtime decor like that. And you guys see that I went with a rustic finishing way. When I made this, I used 2 different shades of Minwax wood stain. It was just what I had on hand, but it's the 2 stains that I like to use. I use a lighter shade of Minwax wood stain to just give the natural wood a light splash of color, and it doesn't mask away the natural grains or textures of the material that I'm staining. And then I use the darker stain to kind of give it a pop of contrast and two-toned appearance. And I think once everything was layered together, it came out beautifully. But of course, if you did not want to use stains and you had a powerful enough laser, you could of course go in with exotic or hardwoods and mill them down to the proper dimensions and make them to let those natural shades, grains, and textures shine through. or you could go in and really take this project to the next level with some acrylic craft paints or craft pens. Paint all of the springtime flowers up and the word Happy Easter in the perimeter of the bunny with some nice pastel colors. I know those colors are very popular during the spring and Easter season. So there's a lot of ways you could use this design, and because it was all what I would call interior cuts, it was all laser cutting on this project. There was no actual engraving like words or logos or textures or things like that. It was all laser cutting. You could of course go into your laser software, export the file you downloaded like this Easter bunny to a JPEG and print it out to cut it out over on the scroll saw, which you guys know I am primarily known for. But this one here was made from start to finish over on the Longer Ray5 20W Diode Laser Engraver, and I'm happy to be using the laser engraver again because during the colder months I don't get to use it as often. As I said at the beginning of the video, cold weather and diode lasers do not mix well. You have to kind of wait till the weather is really above 50 degrees, that's Fahrenheit, for it to be safer and appropriate to use the laser, so to speak. But now that we are in the warmth of spring and the days are milder, warmer, and longer, I would of course be happy to bring more laser engraver content to the platform. If you guys want to continue seeing it in the future, just let me know down in the comments below. Of course, laser engraving will never replace the primary focus of the Monday videos, which is scroll saw woodworking. A video like this, like the springtime Easter bunny, would come out on Wednesday, just like this one here has, so please keep that in mind. But a really cool design, and with the lasers you could of course enlarge this to set it out on a porch, again depending on the size of your laser bed and the power and speed of your laser. I'm just familiar with the Longer Ray5 20W laser engraver, and I stand by that laser. It has been fantastic, and it has pretty much taken every material that I have thrown at it and pretty much done beyond its capabilities for me out here in the workshop. If you guys wanted to try some acrylics, stainless steel, things like that, you know, those projects may differ depending on the wattage of your laser. So please keep that in mind. But a really nice and cute design, and the Rust-Oleum clear gloss we finished it off with really made the grains and textures shine through and give it a nice glossy appearance and protection for years to come. You can see the gloss reflected there in the lights of the workshop. But this project was done just in time to set on a shelf, desk, or countertop for the spring and Easter holiday for 2025, and once the holiday rolls around, he can be carefully packed away until the following spring and Easter to be properly displayed. The Easter bunny is indeed, my friends, hippity hopping his way, and Easter 2025 is fast approaching. But I had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video from start to finish. As always, laser engravers are a tool that you never want to walk away from. Of course, you can quickly step away if you need to use the restroom or something. Make sure that if you have one, it is in a proper enclosure to where it can pipe away all of those fumes, and always wear your safety UV goggles and have your air filtration units or the doors and windows open for proper ventilation, you know, to keep the air quality in your garage or workshop as clean and nice as possible. But a really fun project for Easter over on the laser engraver, and I'm once again happy to be making laser content for the platform, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video from start to finish and hopefully picked up a tip, trick, or tidbit along the way. But one final look at it here. Once again, a layered Happy Easter Easter bunny flower themed shadow box. Really cool. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.